Andrew, Brian, David, Swoozie, and Dwayne, thank you for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on this journey. We are the hype. Introducing
Rebecca Shear, footwear designer.
Catalina Delgado, color and material designer.
And I'm Josh King, the brand manager. And we present Proving Grounds, proving that you belong on the court, proving that you belong at the Drew League, earning your stripes, earning that respect. For us, we are gladiators, and this is our arena. We are competing in the playoffs with our fellow team members, New Black, the Blueprint, and Trifecta. And so, as we are in the Coliseum, that's how we relate to the Drew League. We are competing to really finesse and really challenge ourselves. So the Drew League started in 1973. 20,000 people have gone through the ranks and have proven themselves because that's the ultimate testing grounds. It's where professionals and amateurs come together to battle it out for respect. Get rid of the glitz and glamour, it's hardball. And James is embedded in the Drew League. He grew up with the Drew League. He is the Drew League culture. Now is our time. So James leads his group of hardened gladiators into the change rooms. He tells them, the challenge starts now. This is where we have to prove ourselves as gladiators in our environment, the Coliseum. Because a gladiator fights for survival. You've got to fight for survival on court because the challenges are going to come at you hard over and over again, as we have learnt through our course of this 8-week challenge at Pensol. As James leads his hardened group of gladiators onto the court, they know the challenge is coming. They take their positions and they prepare for what's to come because they are here to earn their stripes, as James has done since he was at the Drew League at the age of 16. James fears none. He has and incorporated that gladiator ethos, that mentality, to show no fear and to prove that you can challenge yourself and earn that respect every time he gets on the court. Now the quarter is over, and I please present Beck, our footwear designer.
Thank you. Oh, shoot. We all want to be gladiators. And through this process, we learned that each and every one of us is in our own realm. And for Harden, when he steps into the Drew, onto that court, he becomes something more, and he becomes that gladiator. So for us, going into this project, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard and daunting, but it pushed us to the brink. It made us into the gladiators. So we were inspired by Harden in that aspect where he was that gladiator to us, and we had to rise to his level. So for it, we questioned, like, what does a gladiator need on the court? What is his protection? Because on the court for Harden, it's his shoe. That's his protection. And we came to the Monica. It's the armored sleeve. And it's one piece, different facets, but it shields them. And it's the one sole thing that they usually use. So going into the shoe, we wanted to create one smooth plane and making the tongue and the lateral into one. And then the cushioning underneath, that's so that when the laces are tight and the tension is high, it softens it. It doesn't create like a really, it doesn't create too much tension on the top of the foot. And going from there, we have the lacing going from the medial to the lateral. And it makes it so that it's not on the forefront of the foot, because when you press forward, just like Harden does with his huge forward motion, it doesn't loosen the laces. And the gusset in that, it's easier to slip on, but it also continues that seamless seam of the Monica. And from there, we have the helmet of the gladiator. This is the heel cap. And it has it so that when he does his quick, fast Euro steps, going swiftly from side to side, it protects him, just like the helmet does. And it wraps around a little more on the medial. And from that, there's a V. It's so that the Achilles has room to breathe. It doesn't create too much tension on it. And even the tiny textures across that, that's still replicating the helmet of the gladiator. And from here, we didn't think that was enough because it's a static object. We wanted to create a grip inside the shoe. So we added tiny little silicone dots, almost like the nails hammering down onto the helmet. And the toe cap, that's for he's always on his toes. He's moving forward. He has this really powerful movement to him, and we want to lock it down, but we didn't think that just creating a toe cap was enough, so we created this hard material going across it, and this is the Monica, the tiny little V formations of it, where it creates this movement, and it gives a dynamic feel, but it's also a protection. So this is the protection going from the inside of it all the way to the outside. This shoe is protection. The shoe is a gladiator, and the shoe is Harden. Furthermore, it's the next quarter. It's RCM Catalina.
Thanks, Rebecca. Now, for color inspiration and for materials, we wanted to have two different colorways because we know Harden plays on the games, on the season, on the NBA, but also he plays on summer on the league. We wanted to have both options. So first we began with the colorways for the Houston Rockets, and we begin with this Victory Red, and then we have this Black Bone in black, we have the Armor Gray, and finally we have the Fearless Red. For the colorway for the Drew League, we were thinking about his LA Unified team when he's playing for all his life, and we found that they won for 4 times. He's the only team who had won so many times in the Drew League. And then we have the white, that is the predominant color, and then we have the blue one that is called the LA Blue. And finally, a hint of red called Dino Red. So how we build the shoe with the colors and the materials. We begin with the outsole, the bounce outsole on black, then a layer of red. We want it to be a full color shoe. Then we added the toe cap in synthetic notebook that adds like flexibility but the same structure to the shoe. Then we have a two-tone mesh, textile mesh all over the shoe. Also the butterfly tongue is made on mesh. And we have those stripes you can see are made in behind. We have 3M. So when it's on court, you can see for the holes in the mesh, you can see like the highlights of the 3M. And in the back, we have TPU that gives comfort, structure and protection to the shoe. And the lining is on mesh. This is our first colorway. And this is our final render. And this is the 2 colorways we have for the Drew and for the NBA. Now, the final court, the final of the game. So we wanted to do a marketing strategy because we wanted to sell the shoe and wanted to create some buzz before everything and before the release of the shoe. So we began with this social media campaign. We know that the shoe was for millennials and for young people, and we know that they want to share all the like the buy-on experience, and they want to get engaged with the release of the shoe and to know more about. So we have 3 different steps. The first one is discovery, the second one is create, and the third one is play. It's going to be before the release of the shoe, and we are going to have different activities on all the strategy. Now, Josh can tell you better about that.
Thank you, Kat. So our consumers are very visual these days. Brands need to change the way that they interact with the consumer, mostly the Gen Zs. So we've chosen the visual platforms as that's how they choose to communicate between brands and products. So discovery. We want to get our consumers to discover James Harden on a deeper level. So we've set aside 5 questions for James Harden, 5 questions for the Drew League. Consumers will send their responses via the visual application social media platform. We also want to see them showing us their best moves at #YourBest. We want to see how James Harden has inspired you to show us your best Euro, show us your best step-back 3-point shoot line. Make it really interactive on a much larger scale. We are in the create phase. So we have created the beard filter. Get along, get that selfie, and play around with James Harden's beard and share it, share that moment. We have created the helmet feature, the helmet filter, because again, he is a gladiator on court and what he represents with that fight, that die-hard attitude, because he is surviving on court for that respect. So play around with the helmet filter. Again, take that selfie, send it to your friends. And the geo filter, when you're at the Drew League, when you're in that proximity of the Drew League and you're there and you're finally seeing what the Drew League encaptures and how James Harden is embedded in the Drew League. You can see it for yourself, and just another way to engage and interact while you're at the Drew League. We have our play. So we have the global lens. You may have seen this with Pokemon Go, for instance. So now we're using AR technology, and you can simply film the scenery around you, and you can create that Drew League experience with animations through the AR technology. And we have also embedded the Harden emoji. So now you can change the way that you communicate to your friends via the multiple platforms of communications these days. So again, we encourage you to have fun, explore your surroundings, because this is what the Drew League's about, bringing community together, bringing the players together and having fun and showing that you can respect yourself and you respect others on the court, no matter how hard you play. We have our advertising campaign, Fear None.
We all go to be great. You lace up and try time after time. You get knocked down so you can't hurt anyone. Some may call it failure. You say it's how you become a gladiator. You're not here to fail, because you need to earn your stripes. You get back up stronger so you master that your step and play like art. This is your battle. Fear none.
Fear none. Show the people who are inspired by the Drew League that they can overcome their battles with that gladiator mentality that James Harden continues to show us every summer he visits the Drew League. Show the community, show the audience and who we're intending, who wants to buy the shoe and wear the shoe as a representation that they don't have to fear. They play who they are and they're fighting for respect every time they're wearing the James Harden shoe. I'll pass you over to our colour material designer, Catalina.
Thank you. This was our last battle fight in this ground, but it's only the first chapter of many to come. We decided we are going to keep playing this game by designing, because we know it's the only way to become better as professionals and better as human beings. This journey built us, and challenge after challenge, it built our self-confidence through toughness, because we decide to believe, because we decide to have faith on our future. And tonight we prove ourselves that we are able to do what we love, designing shoes. Thank you.